All right, today we're going to dive into the story of a fighter whose career wasn't really defined by spectacular knockouts, but by something much rarer, just pure, raw heart. We're talking about Leonard Doroftei, the Lion of Ploiești. You know, this quote right here, it really gets to the very core of who Leonard Doroftei was. It tells you his story is about so much more than just championship belts. It's about a guy who left every single piece of himself in that ring every time he stepped through the ropes. So to really understand the legend, you have to start with that name, the Lion of Ploiești. That's not just a nickname. It's a title that carries the full weight of a nation's pride and, well, the ferocity of a genuine warrior. And what's so interesting is this duality. On one side, you've got the lion, right? That's his ferocity, his power in the ring. But on the other, he's Mosu, which means the old man. And that's this term of endearment, of respect that people had for this wise, battle-tested hero. And get this, before he even thought about turning pro, his foundation was just impeccable. We're talking Olympic medals, a world championship. These weren't just shiny trophies. This was proof that behind the heart of a lion, you had the polished skills of a master boxer. But hey, the amateur ranks, that was just the warm-up. When he finally went pro, he unleashed this unforgettable, totally relentless style that would end up defining his entire legacy. So what exactly is a pressure fighter? Okay, forget all that dancing around the ring. This is about one thing: closing the distance, getting right up in your opponent's face, and just drowning them in a non-stop storm of punches. It's a style that's built on nothing but pure grit and an iron will. And Doroftei, man, he was the textbook definition of this. He lived in that dangerous pocket, that super close range where one tiny mistake can end your night. And to survive there, you need two things: a chin made of granite to take a punch and an engine that just never, ever quits. He had both, and it let him unleash this constant barrage that would just break the will of even the toughest guys out there. And that relentless style of his, well, it was about to face its biggest test ever. A fight that became way more than a boxing match. It was a straight-up 12-round war that would define a career. So picture this. It's 2002, and he's got a shot at the WBA Lightweight title. That's for fighters weighing no more than 135 pounds, or about 61 kilograms. His opponent, the tough-as-nails champion, Raul Balbi. This wasn't just a fight for a belt. This was Doroftei's one chance to grab a piece of boxing immortality. For 12, just brutal rounds, these two went at it, trading blow for blow in this punishing war of attrition. It was one of those fights that really tests the limits of what a person can endure. And in the end, it came down to Doroftei's will, which just absolutely refused to be broken. And when that final bell rang, he'd done it. Leonard Doroftei was a world champion. Back home in Romania, the country just exploded. We're talking a celebration that was on par with any major football victory. A whole nation just united in pride for their lion-hearted hero. But you know, a championship belt is one thing. What really makes a legacy last? For Doroftei, it was forged in the fire of some legendary rivalries, and, believe it or not, defined by an incredible act of integrity. See, his legacy wasn't built in a single night. It was hammered into shape in the heat of these insane rivalries, like that brutal war with Balbi, and a razor-thin draw in a huge unification fight with the very slick Paul Spadafora. These were the fights that tested him to his very soul and proved he was a true champion. Seriously, just stop and think about this for a second. 24 professional fights, competing at the absolute highest level, and only a single loss. That one number tells you everything you need to know about his skill, his toughness, and his pure refusal to be beaten. And yet, for all his wins, maybe the truest measure of the man wasn't in a victory at all, but in a quiet moment of choice, far away from the roar of the crowd. He was all set for a title defense, but his body, it was just giving out on him during a nasty weight cut. He had a choice: risk his own health to make weight, or give up the very prize he'd fought his whole life for. In an incredible act of integrity, he chose his health, giving up his title right there on the scales. It was a moment that proved his character was even stronger than his chin. I mean, when you really step back and look at the whole picture, it's just a remarkable journey. From a young kid in Ploiești to an Olympic hero, a world champion, and finally a cultural icon who became the living embodiment of Romania's fighting spirit. So it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What truly defines a champion's legacy? Is it the shiny belts, the number of wins, or is it something deeper? Is it found in those moments of unbreakable will and unquestionable integrity? In the story of Leonard Doroftei, the answer seems pretty clear. It's all of it.